Shalom. I want to start by saying all praises, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh, Bashim, Yahweh Shai, Bashim, Hakwadash, double honesty apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone, and salutations to I can push in this word, and also sitting honesty, though for that constantly enduring Shalom. My name is Cora Allah from the GMS New York camp. Lord wants thanks for edifying lesson. Also, pardon the view. This building burnt down a few weeks ago, but if you saw my prior videos, it wasn't like this. This is the roof of the building, but it's fitting because America is on fire and soon will burn down also. Okay, but nothing will be left of America when it's burnt because it's gonna be burnt by way of nuclear fire by way of these other nations. And I'll get into that since I mentioned it. Since I mentioned it, I'll get into it. Okay. Um, we are also want to say, we in the time of the Passover, and this is one of the last Passover, if not the last. Okay, if not the last, it is one of the last Passover. All right, and spiritual because right before we got out of Egypt, we you know um we experienced right before we got out of Egypt. What did we do? What was one of the main things we did? We had a Passover. Okay, we kept the Passover. All right. Real quick, this is Jeremiah 51 and 2 says, and will send. It says Jeremiah 51 says, "Thus saith the Lord: Behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them that are rised up against me, a destroying wind." Okay, and Babylon is talking about America. It's not talking about ancient Babylon. Okay, but it's talking about the spiritual Babylon, which America carries on all the beliefs of Babylon. Okay, the wickedness, the witchcraft, the folly. All right, and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me. Right, these other nations. Okay, and 2/3 is gonna fit right in to this category also. All right, because 2/3 rose up against Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. 2/3 of us Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Okay, even 2/3 of Israel is going to be destroyed in this upcoming destruction. It says a destroying wind, right? So the Lord is going to raise up against Babylon a destroying wind. All right, the destroying wind is going into that nuclear fire, right? Because of the it's gonna leave. It's gonna be a blast. It's gonna be a blast of wind. If you look up on YouTube, you can see the steps to the destruction. What would happen if a nuclear missile was to hit America. Jeremiah 51 and 2 says, "And I will send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her." Right, so the fanners keep that fire going. Okay, so the fanners that's going to be sent onto Babylon are these nations with nuclear capability that's going to also shoot missiles upon this place. All right. It says, For the day of trouble they shall be." It says, "For in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about." Okay. This is the day of we are in the day of trouble, the time of trouble, the end times, the last days. Okay, Jacob's trouble. Okay, this is all. It all goes into Jacob's trouble because what? Jacob's trouble is going to end with those nuclear missiles. Okay, it says, "Against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow. Against him that lifteth himself up in his brigandine." Right, let the archer bend his bow. Okay, and that bow, which we know that bow was talking about nuclear missiles. All right, the bow would be. the silos, right, and the arrow will be those nuclear missiles. So when you bend the bow, meaning what? Prepare those missiles. Okay. And now the only thing waiting for now is for the green light to let the bows fly, let the arrows fly, let those nukes fly. Okay, but that's not gonna happen right away. But it's gonna happen, and after the chip is made mandatory, the mark of the beast. You know, these what we're saying is guaranteed. All right, we're not saying we have years, decades, years, um, left in America. We're saying, or in this wicked kingdom, we're saying we have months left in this wicked kingdom. Okay, because prophecies is being revealed. Okay, we are living in the time of prophecies um being manifested. It says, "For in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about." So these nations are going to be round about America, meaning what? They're going to turn. They're going to turn on America, right? America has enemies, okay, like the BRICS nations. You see Russia, you see China, you see Iran, okay, and other nations. But here it is, you have allies like in the UN, you have allies in NATO that's going to turn against America, okay? Because why? America is being exposed as the problem, you know? It says like it says against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow. Against him that lifted up himself, lift against him that lifted himself up in his brigandine or in his military, right? Because America is all about the military, all about the nuclear arsenal. Okay, it says, "And spare ye not her young men, destroy ye utterly all her hosts." So all the host, the armies are going to be destroyed. The young men are going to be destroyed. Okay, because before they even shoot that nuclear blast off, it's going to be a thing of troops being sent on the ground. Okay, and we've seen that now. We've seen about more than 10,000 troops being sent to Iran or in the Middle East to prepare themselves to fight and die for their country. Okay, so that's the times we in, man. And, it's fitting that we have this Passover. This Passover is you know, it's I'll say it's prophetic. It's prophetic. It's only right. Because why? Because our this deliverance out of this place is going to be greater than the deliverance out of Egypt. Okay, America is known as Babylon. It's also known as Egypt. All right, let me get something real quick. If I can find this. Um, Pardon me. Let's go to the blue letter. Okay, let's go to Isaiah 19. Okay, want to see a specific scripture. It says, Isaiah 19:16 says, "In that day shall Egypt be like unto women, and they shall be afraid and fear because of the shaking of the hand of the Lord of hosts, which he shaketh over it." Right? And I mentioned earlier that Egypt is, yeah, it's going into Egypt, ancient Egypt history, but also prophetically, okay, Egypt, America is that spiritual Egypt, okay? Um, the whole chapter is good right here. Isaiah 19:2 says, "And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom." Okay. Now, who's ultimately going to destroy America? Who's going to lead that charge? Russia. You got to understand, Russia is they nothing but some Edomites. Okay, and also Egyptians against Egyptian. What about the NATO? You know, the the NATO's who's NATO? You have the Romans, the French, the Germans, uh Slovakia. Let's start with the Greeks, the Romans, the French, the Spanish, Germania Major, Germania Minor, and the Germans. Okay, those nations are going to turn against America. All right, those are Edomite nations. All right, I'll give another scripture and I end it here. Um, right, this is Habakkuk 2:1. It says, "And I will stand upon my watch, and set me up upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved." I want to get that in the NLT. It says, "I will climb up to my watchtower and stand at my guard post. There I will wait to see what the Lord say and how he will answer my complaint." Okay. It says, now let's get that back in the KJV. It says, "And the Lord answered me and said, Write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it." There we go. Okay. This is going into the Israelites. This vision is made plain upon tables or in the book, the Bible. Okay. The visions being the prophecies. All right. The job of a prophet is to say before, but also to decipher prophecy. It says, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry." Okay? So this thing is not a thing that's lying or postponing or delayed. Everything is going to according to Yahweh Bashim and Yahweh Shai. Okay? It says it will, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. I'm watching this thing happening. It's happening, man. It's here. Okay, the times are here. So being the time of the Passover, we expect, we believe, we expect through the Spirit. that this might be one of the last Passovers, if not the last Passover. All right. And with that, I'm gonna say all praise, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai, Bashim Hakwadash, double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone, and salutations to I can pushing this word, and also say honesty. Shalom.